morning, scholars. So this video is to help you with the work that you need to do for ELA, for benchmark, for Monday, April 27th. So in your ELA slides for the week, right, we've got Monday. There's an important note here that asks you to do the thank you notes that we've talked about, and also if you have an idea for a presentation, to fill out the spreadsheet. I'll talk about that during class today. But then when it gets to the actual work, today the purpose, we're still reading Julie Fights for Survival, and our purpose, why we are reading today, is we're reading to figure out what happened to Jello, the lone wolf. So what happens to Jello teaches us as readers. So in other words, Jello, we see him twice really in the story. We see him at the beginning, and we see him sort of in the middle, and the goal for us today is to figure out what happens to him, what did he do in the beginning, and what happens to him in the end, and what does that teach us as readers. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine the theme, or part of the theme in this case, of the story based on details from the text. So your job today is to read paragraphs 3 from 5. This is the first time we see Jello, and read paragraphs 14 through 16. This is the second time we see Jello. And I want you to take notes specifically on what does Jello do. So in paragraphs 3 through 5, Jello does something. What does he do? And then what happens to Jello at the end? So in paragraphs 14 through 16, something happens to Jello, and what happens to him? And it even actually says, Julie commentates or says in the passage why what happens to him, right? So what I want you to do after you've read it and after you've taken some notes, you can underline using the way that I showed you before. You can just write on a piece of paper. That's what I would probably do if I had a piece of paper and a pencil available. Then I want you to answer a question on this Padlet. So what did Jello do that caused Amarok, the wolf pack leader, to kill him? So this is a little bit of a spoiler of what happens to Jello at the end. But the question is, what did he do that caused Amarok to kill him? And one of the things I like about Padlet is, I don't think that anybody's commented on this one yet, but you can see each other's responses. So if you're a little confused, you can use this Padlet once people start responding, right? You click this here and you start typing. But the reason that I really like it is if you're confused, you can go and you can see what other people are thinking. So after you've read it, after you've taken notes, after you've answered that Padlet question, what I want you to do, your exit for the ticket for the day, is to answer the question labeled ELA Exit Ticket April 27th, which you know where that is. You go to Room 18 Scholars, you go to your classwork, and you find the one that's labeled ELA Exit Ticket April 27th. And you're going to answer the question in there. Now the question is, after reading these paragraphs that we just talked about, answer the following question. What lesson can we, as readers, learn from the wolves and apply to our everyday life? So in other words, what happened to Jello teaches us, and why what happened to Jello happened to him teaches us something as readers. And it's your job to sort of explain that. Now, because I understand that that might be a little bit confusing, I've actually added a link here with some extra hints to help you with this answer. So if you're feeling a little stuck, you're not quite sure what your answer should be, go ahead and look at these hints. It'll sort of guide you. It's me asking some questions that will hopefully help guide you towards that answer. And then we're going to talk about this on Tuesday during class. All right? So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you later today. Bye, scholars.